You are tuned into the Power Chord Hour right here on 107.9 WRFA and on the Power Chord Hour podcast. However you are listening to this or watching this one, we got a video interview if you're watching on YouTube. We got Justin Vaughn from Low Morale, his second appearance on the show, roughly about a year. I was thinking about this. I know we had you on early last year, maybe in like January or so. Now it's March. We got new music from Justin and the rest of Low Morale. Got a new EP, This Planet Sucks. So we got some new music to talk about, and I don't know, just talk about it all. I had a lot of fun last time. Justin, man, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I was trying to think about it. I think it's been about a year since you were on. I saw you in person maybe like 2 months ago in Cleveland, but yeah, I think the last time you were on the show was like a year ago.
Yeah, time flies. It seems like just yesterday we were reminiscing about all those insane stories. And
yes, that's right. There was some very good stories on that one. That is very true. Yeah. I guess just to start off, for people who did listen to that last one, what has Low Morale been up to since we last talked in early 2022? I feel like a lot has happened between now and then. Like maybe some of the highlights or the spark notes of what Low Morale has been up to since then.
See the highlights, the lowlights, all over. It's all over the place. Mostly lowlights, but no, I'm kidding. I'm trying to think what we were up to last we talked, but we probably went through another couple bases. I'm just guessing. We recorded an EP that we put out. This Planet Sucks. There's 3 songs on it, and that's streaming everywhere. And we have like another album pretty much written. I actually just had practice today. We were ripping through some of the new songs that I'm really excited about. We recorded the album, the EP, with my friend Tony. He kind of has like a home studio. He had been asking me for a while if we wanted to, come record. He does it kind of as a hobby, but he's got like this beautiful home setup. Like it looks great. So he's like, hey, come record. So I'm like, cool. He did, he really hasn't done any like bands, like punk bands or anything like that. It was mostly like more like lo-fi indie stuff. So we kind of, just said, screw it. We'll see what happens. And so, we did go back and forth quite a few times, trying to get the mixes right and everything. I think it came out pretty good. We're pretty happy with it. We probably are gonna for our next album. We're probably gonna go maybe back to Steve Perino, who me and it's not like official yet, or someone that does it like really for a living. You know what I mean? Have it a little more produced and polished. We did. Me and Steve, when we were in Blacklist, we recorded with Steve Perino with one of our albums. Was it True Lust? Since then he's like recorded like Heart Attack Man and like Normie, and he's done like a ton of like great stuff. He does a lot of like hardcore bands, but he's like, he's one of those people who, he does this kind of stuff all the time, and we can just like blast through it and it'll sound, more polished and produced. But Tony, it was great working with Tony. He's a really cool guy. He's got a beautiful studio. He has a whole room full of like vintage, like Moogs and synths, and
nice.
Like he has like the craziest stuff. It's like, it was fun just to kind of, play around with stuff.
Do you think after working with you guys, he's now just going to do all pop? After Low Morale, it's like, forget the low pop, all pop punk.
It's funny because when we started recording, or before we started recording, I was like, do you have any, stuff, punk stuff or like more like rock stuff I could check out that you've recorded? And, he sent me some stuff that like sounded good, but it was, more like lo-fi indie stuff, So I thought, he's got a beautiful studio. He's a cool guy. Let's just do it. And, maybe this will be the beginning of a career in punk music for him. Maybe everyone will be knocking down his door trying to do it. And we could say we were the first. Honestly, we did go back and forth quite a few times trying to get the mixes right and everything. Because he's not used to doing our style. So that did happen. But, it was really fun. He's an awesome dude. It was definitely fun banging it out. Yeah. And so, yeah, we're really excited about these next songs. We're hoping to record, hopefully by like the fall.
You're getting right back into it.
Yeah, we were on just like, I mean, the thing is like me and Steve, we were in Blacklister for years before we started Low Morale. And between the two of us, we just like pump out songs. There was probably like 20 Blacklister songs that we demoed and never played live or recorded.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean, so actually some of these songs are like recycled parts of old Blacklister songs.
Nice.
So yeah, but I'm just, we have Kyle, our drummer, he's really great. And then we have a bassist, George, who he reminds me of like the bassist from Rancid. Like he just shreds on the bass. He's not, like a lot of bands have, a bassist who's pretty much a guitarist that just picks up a bass, but he's like an actual bassist. Like he has full, riffs, like totally unique bass riffs that he like adds to the songs. It's like, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
I gotta, as a bass player too, like props to that, because you're not wrong, including in like pop punk rock. Very many times you do get the guy who would probably otherwise be playing like rhythm guitar in your band. He's just playing root notes, which I mean, I'm not talking shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's,
nothing wrong, but like you're talking about your bassist now, like I love that when you have a bona fide bassist in there actually playing around on the neck and make it in writing bass lines and shit. Like, I appreciate that as a bass player.
George is such a great bass player that sometimes I almost want to say like, water it down a little bit. You're too good. You know what I mean? Like you're shred, it's almost like too good. Like honestly. But yeah, he's great. He's a great guy. Yeah, we're really lucky to have him and Kyle. So yeah, we're really looking forward to recording the new album. I think our next show we have scheduled is with Celebration Summer on AF Records, and Spells, who we played with in the past. They're super, super cool. And then a local band, Lillier, who are super good. Lillier has hit us up a few times about playing a show, and it never worked out. So when we got this show, I was talking to Spells about, should we have another band on the bill? And I was like, let me hit up Lillier. We've been trying to hook up for a show. Yeah, they're a great female-led band, super good. Not that matters. But yeah, they're super great. And so I'm stoked on that show. I was just talking to this band, Public Squares. Is a great local Cleveland band.
It sounds familiar. I've heard that name before. I don't know if I've heard
that.
Yeah,
they're really good. They do this whole like, it's almost, I don't know if it's almost like Devo kind of shtick where they like, dress up like in like jumpsuits or whatever and wear like these weird shades and like
nice.
Like they're from like another planet or something, but they're super cool. Yeah, we've been talking about we might do something in the next few months, so that would be fun.
Have you played any of these the songs off This Planet Sucks? Have any of those gotten played live yet? If I'm not, when I saw you in December, I almost want to say you played one, but I know you played a new song. I don't know that means it was on.
Yeah, I think Ripper, which is the first song on the album on the EP, This Planet Sucks. We did play that when we played with Allister. You were there, yeah, for that.
Such a good show.
Yeah, that was super fun. Like Allister's one of those bands that I listened to them when I was in high school. So it's always crazy when you get to play with bands that I remember being on the school bus, with playing them on my Discman, and now we're sharing a stage with them. I felt the same way about the band Digger that were on Hopeless Records years ago, and that was like a lot of fun. It was like, yeah, it's kind of surreal sometimes, but yeah, it's definitely one of the perks of like being in a band, playing with some of your heroes. But they also say don't meet your heroes. So I have played with, there have been a couple bands I played with that I love, and they're not the most personable. I mean, I get it. If I was on tour and maybe you're having a bad day and I don't know. But
it's funny you bring that up, because people like ask me like if I ever like interview someone who's like a real asshole, and like, I mean, knock on wood, it really, to be completely honest, I haven't had anyone like really bad, but I think they also know that they're being interviewed in a way. You know what I mean? There is that. Whereas you kind of get that interesting side because being like, if you're like playing with them and stuff, you're kind of seeing them backstage. You kind of get a better like. I mean, I feel like people are pretty candid with me, but again, like someone can come on here and kind of put it on. Whereas like with you, you might meet someone backstage, and I feel like you might get the real them a little more than I would.
Well, I mean, like especially when you're like loading in before the doors and stuff, and you're all just crossing paths and just kind of hanging out, waiting for the doors to open. And I'll usually go up to other bands and be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm stoked to play this show." And sometimes they're just like, "Hey," and just like walk away. And I'm just like, sometimes I think like, you can at least fake it, just say like, "Oh, hey, cool," like I don't know. A couple bands have like not even like tried to bullshit it, but it's whatever. As long as they're not like, straight up assholes or mean, I guess I'm cool with it.
You'll be when people start playing, people come play with low morale, you'll be the cool guy. That's the shit to remember is like you go in it, it's like, all right, you gotta be cool to the opening band. I feel like that's an important one to remember.
Yeah. I mean, I played with national bands that were super cool, like Digger, like they were awesome. They were like, "Hey, after we played a show together a few years ago, they were like, "Hey, like let's go out." Like first they like put on our merch, like put on our shirt, and they're like, let's go drinking, let's go hang out. So we hung out with Digger, went to a bar and just kicked it. It was really fun, and we stayed in touch. And yeah, actually, like the next day, I think the singer messaged me and he's like, "I just listened to your album 2 times in a row. I love it." And I was like, "Oh, cool." Like I thought, I wasn't expecting to hear that. And then he's like, "Are you guys looking for a label?" And I was like, "Yeah." And yeah, I don't know what happened with that. I think I like never really sent him anything, but I probably should have. I'd probably be huge right now.
It's funny you bring them up. I just played them on the radio show maybe like I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. The one with the album with the fish on it. I can't think of the name, but there's like a fish on the
Yeah. I forgot the name of that.
It is on Hopeless. It was I think it was, or I don't know how many albums it had on there, but yeah, it was a Hopeless one. But yeah, it's funny you bring them up. I think it was like last time. Yeah, I feel like we're both kind of in that realm of bands you may not hear other people bring up as much as like,
yeah. I mean, they were never like a huge band, but they're one of those bands that I get like those like back before streaming, a really good popular way, especially in the punk community, of like checking out new bands was to buy these like compilation CDs. They were like $4 or $5 at Hot Topic or at a record store or whatever. And a lot of times, like I'm saying this for I guess the viewers. I know about this, but there'll just be a sampler of like a bunch of bands on that label, or sometimes it'll be from different labels. And I remember just grabbing the album and like liking a song and be like, "Oh, who is this?" and being excited to find out who it was. And yeah, but yeah, so they remind me of those days back in the day.
I feel like lately I don't know that I don't know the Bandcamp really has anything to do with it, but I noticed more lately that I see comps somewhat coming back, kind of on like of anything like on Bandcamp, like people doing comps a little bit again, even like on a local scale here in Jamestown. We've had a couple like end up on some, which I'm all about because I'm with you. I mean, one of the best ways to discover music, compilations.
For sure. And what's funny is I feel like the Spotify playlist or whatever playlist is kind of like the modern version of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of, especially it's more interactive because you could, literally anyone could make their own compilation now, and put it on for the whole world to check out. Aside from labels, aside from, whoever, so, like there could be all right. I think, yeah, have you made Power Chord Hour like playlists?
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There's tons of them.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's what's cool about it. Have you checked out the new, Power Chord Hour playlist? There's this band,
It is like a comp in that way. I would love.
It's like literally a compilation. So it's whatever.
And it's even more. I mean, they were like you were saying, they were really only $5 to begin with, but hell, now they're free. Now you basically get them for free.
Yeah.
How long? I mean, I know as we're talking, I mean, the EP just came out, but how long has it been out? Are we talking like, has it been a month already, or has it not even been a month since this came out?
Yeah, February 10th, so it's been a month. Yeah. We've been lucky enough to be on a few playlists and stuff, and have a couple, sites post about it. So that's super cool. I know it's not like a big, produced album or anything. But yeah, I really appreciate all the positive feedback we've gotten from it and stuff. And yeah, we're super stoked to record our next album already. So, but yeah.
With the writing you're doing right now, I mean, again, I know we were talking like some of the songs and ideas and stuff go back to your previous band, but like now that Low Morale, I mean, you've been a band like a year. How long has I and I know last time we talked about this, I mean, the history goes way further back, but I mean, Low Morale as a band. Have you guys been a band now not even 2 years, right?
Well, so when me and Steve kind of decided to like dissolve Blacklister and kind of start a new project together, that was like pre-pandemic. So, and we had a few songs we demoed, and then I don't know, I can't remember exactly when we officially formed Low Morale, which was pretty much just the two of us. But when we started recording the first album, I know we started recording it right before like quarantine started and stuff. It was one of those deals. So we had so it was right around that time. So it was, probably like a little bit before maybe 2019.
Oh shit. Okay, so yeah, a lot longer than I'm saying.
Yeah.
It feels younger, I think, because the first EP came out like late 2021.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Something like that. Well, it's one of those things though that because of the pandemic, it really slowed the whole process down. It was almost kind of like we were on hiatus for like almost a year while we were, there weren't like shows going on, we were kind of trying to finish our album in little spurts, a little bit a month, whenever we can. So yeah, that really slowed down the process. So there's like a year there where it's kind of like,
it's that odd. Yeah, it is true. A lot of bands I talk to now, I mean, if you were
kind of put a pause on everything. So technically, yeah.
No, like thinking about it and like going back, talking about how long Low Morale has like been around now, and you've been around a couple years, and like when you kind of look back that transition into becoming Low Morale, what you kind of wanted to sound like, what you thought you would sound like versus now a couple years in. I mean, do you feel like it's still the same kind of path you wanted to take in the beginning? Do you think the songs you're writing now sound drastically different from that? Or I mean, a few years in now, do you feel like you're kind of doing the same, not the same in that way, you know what I mean? Not like you're just doing the same old, but like that initial idea of what you wanted, Low Morale, do you feel like it's still kind of there?
Like the same vibe?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about, me and Steve, like initially write all the songs, and I don't think we've ever once said like, let's do this kind of style or this kind of style or, anything like that. I know that he, the way we write is usually he'll write an instrumental, send it to me. I'll write, vocal melody and vocals over it. So, that's just kind of how we do it. And, I feel like what's great about Steve is like some of the songs, could sound totally different. It's not like we're playing like polka on one song and like heavy metal, but, they're all within, the punk and kind of, emo alternative spectrum or whatever. But, yeah, like I know when we first started writing music, I remember he did tell me that when he writes, he always tries to picture my voice, singing over it, try to anticipate what I might do and kind of form the songs to my voice. Because yeah, I mean, he was probably playing like almost more like Rancid-y. Is that a word? Rancid-y stuff.
Now.
And yeah, I feel like when we first started, I remember his wife was there and she's like, "You sound like the guy from Saves the Day." So it's like, I was like singing more like, emo vibes over like Rancid stuff. So, and that's what's cool about us is, we kind of combine slightly different styles to form something that's, it's definitely, I'm not saying we're like original by any means necessarily, but, we kind of are both coming from different angles sometimes, and it kind of creates something, fun. And I think I kind of touched on that last time we talked, but yeah, I mean, answer your question, like, yeah, I don't think we were like, okay, Low Morale has to sound this way. We don't want it to sound like Blacklister or anything like that. It's kind of honestly whatever Steve comes up with. It's like I always use the analogy like Steve is almost like a wave and I'm like a surfer. So I'm just like anticipating that next wave coming. It's, so when I see, when I see he sent me, like, emailed me a new instrumental, it's like exciting, because it's like, ooh, like, let's see, get my surfboard out and tackle this vocally. And yeah, and like, I feel like we're two sides of the same coin, because a lot of times it's like I'm just can't wait to just jump in. A lot of times I get melodies like right away. Once in a while there'll be one that I kind of they'll send me a few songs, and there'll be one where I can't think of anything. But I would say, like, most of the time, we're like this, two sides of the same coin. And yeah, we just kind of do whatever. Sometimes he'll have songs that are a little slower and driving. Sometimes he'll have songs that are more like, he's picturing like a punk beat. When he sends me demos, he usually programs the drums and he plays bass. He's a great bassist too. So yeah, it's pretty much, they sound almost like fully formed songs. It's not like him just playing acoustic or something. So I get the full vibe of what he's picturing. And then after I record the vocals, I give it to, George and Kyle, and they kind of throw in their own flavor to it. Yeah, I mean, we don't really have like a certain direction. I have noticed that there have been like themes that I don't necessarily plan lyrically. I think it's because I'm going to be 40 in May. So I've been going through kind of like an existential / midlife crisis, and so a lot of my lyrics have been kind of like dealing with that. Yeah, that's definitely, have I accomplished what I want to accomplish? Have I done what I want to do, by this point in my life? When you start getting older, you start thinking about that stuff, and it kind of like, fucks with you mentally. So yeah. And, like, I feel like a lot of people, that grew up, that are around our age, and maybe in their 30s or even early 40s or whatever, or even late 20s, that grew up, in the pop punk scene, listening, grew up with Drive Thru Records and, the Vagrant stuff, that whole scene, in the late 90s, early 2000s. We're all getting older. A lot of people our age are having kids and getting married and getting houses and stuff. So, and we actually have a new song, tentatively titled "All My Heroes Are Turning Gray." That's kind of, I see all my favorite bands that I, grew up idolizing, and, a lot of them are getting old. They have gray hair. Mark Hoppus, in the new promos for Blink, he's got gray hair. It's like, it's really like, oh shit, like, this is happening. Like,
time is real.
Yeah, like, this is real. Like, we're getting older. There's no stopping it. I mean, look at me. Like, my head shaved. Like, I used to have like spiky hair with like bleach spots in it. I love my hair, but I got to the point where it's like, gotta shave it, but gotta do the Dan Andriano look, I guess. But that's, Dan Andriano is my hero right now. Aside from Loving Upland Trio, it's like, okay, well, he rocks it, so it's
exactly.
Cool.
And like we were talking about earlier, good bass players who are actually legit, like not just playing root notes.
Exactly.
Not a bass player, but I mean a damn fine one if you're gonna, rip off.
I was thinking, I noticed like a lot of like punk dudes lately, like Tim Armstrong and like Travis Barker, they have like the whole like head scalp tattoo. Yes. I realized, I think they're just balding and just said, I'm gonna shave my, like, I didn't even think about this so recently. I'm like,
that's the punk rock, like, it's the equivalent of like wearing hats and shit. Yeah, like it's a punk rock.
I'm like, I think they're just being sneaky. I didn't think of that. I think they just are bald and are making it look like, no, I just do this because I want to get a cool head tat. And yeah, I wonder if Travis, like, if he didn't shave, if he would have like, he'd be totally bald.
To be honest, when's the last time he grew his hair out? That's
what I'm saying.
You just start wondering that, yeah.
Oh, he's just doing that so you can see his cool head tattoo, but maybe, he's pulling one on us.
Oh, I'm with you with that. I actually think it is. You kind of bring up an interesting point, like as you're talking about, like, I mean, getting older, and I mean, everybody gets older, but like punk and pop punk and all that's kind of interesting, because I do feel like there's this like even if not yourself personally, like I do think there's people who just expect like Tom DeLonge will be 27 forever. And it's like, that's just not how it works.
But like, it's gonna be in like 4th grade forever.
Yeah. But like even more, I feel like in punk rock, because there's something, I feel like there's certain genres where like you just kind of age. And that, I mean, we all age. You can't stop it. You just can't. But like,
yeah, it's like funny that like pop punk is like the new like classic rock, you know?
it really, it
which
is though.
You know, because when you think about classic rock, like, you know, a lot of it is kind of, not all of it. Some of it's, you know, like some of the Motley Crue stuff could be kind of flagrant and kind of, you know, girls and stuff. But, you know, a lot of the lyrics from like, you know, 70s, 80s, 60s, you know, the original classic rock, you know, some of the lyrics are more like poetic and kind of vague and kind of age better. But, you know, like, especially like the pop punk stuff, you know, are a lot more kind of like humorous and what's the word? Juvenile, I guess is the word, you know.
Yes.
You know, like you know, like I told you, I like MXPX Life in General is one of my favorite albums of all time. I know every word.
Yes.
And Steve, actually, the guitarist of Lil Morel, was it for my, what was it for? Oh, for the holidays or whatever. He gave me a MXPX Life in General on vinyl, and I was so stoked that I listened to it. And I still love the songs, but lyrically, some of them are, you know, it's like, I'm gonna pick you up after school on my Vespa, and you know, you want to
My mom
see
still cleans my room.
Yeah, they literally, yeah, there's literally a song called My Mom Still Cleans My Room. You know, it's stuff like this where it's like, you know, it doesn't really, you know.
Actually, that one gets funnier as Mike Herrera gets older, to be honest. That one I take back. I think My Mom Still Cleans My Room only gets funnier as like, I imagine like a 60-year-old Mike Herrera on stage going, here's My Mom Still Cleans My Room.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, obviously it's whatever. I mean, at the time when it came out, you know, it's you know, he was singing about stuff that he knew. I mean, you know, obviously it makes sense, you know, but it's just the, you know, with pop punk, sometimes like looking back on, you know, listening to it in your 30s, 40s, you know, it's kind of like, oh, I don't really relate to this anymore. You know what I mean? It's very kind of dated in that way, but those songs are amazing. I love them. You know, and same with Blink-182. A lot of it's, you know, lyrically, especially the older stuff. They're great songs. There's nothing wrong with them. They're super catchy, super great, but yeah, just like lyrically. So I don't know. And I mean, and just the opposite, you know, the stuff that I'm singing about, you know, younger kids and teenagers that are listening to Lil Morel might feel the opposite about it. They might say like, you know, he's singing about, you know, not have, you know, is this hourglass half full or half empty, you know, like lyrics like that. And just stuff about, you know, about feeling like time's running out and wanting to like, you know, accomplish your dreams and looking back on your life, you know, they might be like, you know, thinking like, what the fuck is he talking about? I have my entire life ahead of me. Like, I don't relate to this, you know? So, I mean, it goes both ways, but, you know, just like I could still rock out to, you know, MXPX and stuff like that, that I don't necessarily relate to the lyrics. You know, hopefully people that, you know, maybe are too young to really relate to it, hopefully they'll at least, dig the song and still feel it. And, you know, and I feel like there are still things that they could relate to on some level. I feel like there's definitely things I think I touch on that are universal, no matter how young or old you are, you know. So, and that's kind of like, that's honestly why, like, I can't listen to a band for the most part, if I don't feel the lyrics, you know what I mean? Like, back in the CD days, I'd always like grab the booklet out and like while I like listen to it, if the lyrics sucked, I just couldn't, you know. But you know, but I would read it almost like reading along with like poetry or something. And those are the bands that really hooked me and why I got, you know, into the emo. And you know, I don't like using the word pop punk really, but you know, the pop punk melodic punk rock scene is because, you know, I felt like it was kind of a community, and you know, I related to their angst and their, you know, whatever, the whole vibe. So yeah, so I just, you know, the biggest compliment I think is, you know, hearing somebody say they relate to the lyrics or, you know, or dig the lyrics or quote it or whatever. That's, I'm a big lyric guy, so that's pretty important to me. I don't even know what we were talking about.
No, actually, I mean, we were going on a side thing. She kind of got me going with like, I mean, just pop punk and punk rock. And I mean, really like, I feel like us, just the genre aging differently than a lot of others do. But like, also to your credit, talking about like your lyrics and stuff, I think you're at the better part because what you're singing now, I feel like you could still sing in 20 years and it won't be that, like we were talking about the two sides of it, but the stuff you're talking about, you can still relate to later on. And even like younger people, like I think I get what you're saying, and maybe, you know, you're not you're not singing as juvenile lyrics as some, so maybe they don't get it. But if they don't right away, it's also something you get to later on. But also, if you like the kind of music, you fucking get into it either way. But like,
Yeah.
I think kind of with that too, like I've thought of this for a while, and last time I saw you was at the Menzinger, so I know you're a fan. But like, I think of a band like that where I go, that might be the way to go, because those dudes were writing like they were old men when they were like in their early 20s. So like, you almost age into those songs. Like they can play them years later, and it's not the picking you up from high school and this and that. They almost go the other way, where like at 22, they're writing songs like they're 45 fucking years old.
Like they're like, we were such lookers in the old days. And, like the waitress at the diner, we were smoking the same cigarettes, and it's almost
you age into those. You age in. He didn't fucking like that dude was listening to Blink 182 when he was 17. Like he's
and I love the Menzingers. I've seen them a million times live.
Oh, one of my favorites.
But yeah, the lyrics are really funny. I like some of the Hard Times episodes, Hard Times like memes where they're like something about like the Menzingers inspired for a new song when the waitress went out for a smoke break or something, something like that. But yeah, they do a lot of like kind of old timey, like reminiscing, it's pretty, it almost reminds me of like Bruce Springsteen or like Tom Waits or some, like one of those kind of like poetically looking back on the past.
But it is funny because you think of like, even like On the Impossible Past, where it's like, they were probably in mid-20s. They were like, what, mid-20s when they like wrote that? So you like think about it age-wise. And and again, I ain't talking shit. It's one of my favorite records. Like it's one interesting.
Of those,
it's interesting to look at all
this. People have like old souls. It's like they have old souls. You know what I mean? Like they're singing as if they're like in their at least 50s or 60s,
Yes. It is, but it is. It's so interesting. Like that is, how some kind of have that. But I'd say more go the other way of like, because again, like we do think of it that way. Where like, yeah, like you hear like, go back to MXPX, like you almost hear it. Like, if you go see them play live, yeah, they're not 20 something now, but they wrote those songs when they were 20 something. It's like that context too, where it's like, yeah, it seems less weird. My mom still cleans my room if you were like college aged or something when you wrote it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a saying, write what you know. You know what I mean? Well, I guess unless you're like writing like sci-fi stuff, then you have to make it up. But there's a lyric in one of the new songs that's I'm sick of writing sad songs, but they say to write what you know is one of the lyrics.
It's a good line.
It's like, I kind of wrote that because Steve, if we run into somebody together, they'll be like, "Oh, what's your band sound like?" Or like, "How do you guys?" They'll ask some question about our band, and he'll be like, "Well, I write the music," and then Justin writes lyrics that make you want to slit your wrists or something. He always says something like that, joking around. But I don't want people to think that my lyrics are, that haven't heard us listening to this, like think that all my lyrics are super depressing, because I don't think they are. I always try to sprinkle a little bit of hope in there as well. It's kind of like an exorcism for me, getting out all my demons, you know what I mean? So it's very therapeutic. I probably really need therapy, honestly, but this is a lot cheaper, and I'm too lazy. So I just pour out all my my angst and existential dread on the songs, and I just hope that my fellow punk and emo fans that are around the same generation as me, could enjoy the songs and also relate to them. That's really what I'm hoping for.
On the lyrical side with that, which I mean, I like the way you write. I mean, I think it's relatable. I think you were saying, you write what you know, and also pretty easily, I think anyone can relate to most of the like subject matter. But for like you and your writing, I mean, do you have, and I'm not even really talking about preference in you listening, because maybe it's different for you listening to a band versus you writing, but do you like when you write lyrics, just putting it out cut and dry, where you go, what the song's about? Like if I listen to the song lyrically, I know what it's about. Or do you like being a little cryptic? And again, I'm talking more for your personal writing. Maybe you feel different when you're listening to someone, but for you writing, do you like to lay it all out there where it's like you really can't misconstrue what this song's about? Or do you like that where it's like it's up for interpretation?
I think it's honestly a little bit of both. I feel like a lot of it is kind of you pretty much know what I'm saying, but I like to, sprinkle in some things that are a little more metaphorical and poetic. It's kind of a mixture of both. Some of my favorite bands are like Saves the Day, Alkaline Trio. Especially like Saves the Day will do things where they'll like name drop like actual dates and like describe, paint a picture of this actual scenery. It's like gets very literal, you know what I mean?
Yes.
They'll name drop street names or, whatever. But at the same time, then they'll have lyrics that are a little more poetic and a little more metaphorical, and a little witty, or, so I kind of mix it up a little bit. Honestly, sometimes the lyrics get a little too real and I have to kind of dial it back a little bit, I'm like, okay, maybe that's like too straightforward, let's make it a little more, dial it back. But yeah, but I mean, I don't really, I kind of just let the music, as corny as it sounds, I just kind of like let the music tell me what it's about in a weird way. I think Steve's a great songwriter, and he's really good at writing, each song is like a little bit different vibe. Yeah, it just evokes, is that the right word? Evokes. It evokes like certain feelings in me that it brings out, depending on the vibe of the song. And sometimes I just get this like mental picture vibe of the direction that I think the song should go in, and what I should be saying over it. So yeah, I guess his music just kind of pulls these things out of me. And sometimes songs are, about multiple things. And there's also another weird thing is sometimes I'll listen to songs that, are on albums that I put out years ago, and I'll be like, oh my God, like that, like this kind of more poetic, metaphorical part. Like I didn't even understand it at the time. And like years later, I'll listen back to it and be like, oh my God, I get it now. Like I was like talking to my future self, like that, like, or I'll realize that things work on more levels than I even realized lyrically. I'd be like, wow, that was actually like pretty rad. Like I didn't even get that it works this way too. I don't know. I just love lyrics. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Yeah. I just love it.
I was going to ask you earlier too, which, I mean, you just kind of led back into it, but like kind of with like the using music as a therapy, like you writing and kind of realizing, like, does that happen a lot for you where like you might realize like some of the, either what some of your issues or problems are, like whatever it is in life, like do you almost not notice what's bothering you until you like write lyrics and then go, oh fuck, I guess like you were talking about earlier, like you're writing these lyrics and all of a sudden you're not even purposely doing it, but you're getting close to 40. So like you write about, your age, and you start writing about these, and maybe it's not, it's like subconscious or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, does that happen a lot for you where like you later realize, it might even be instant, but you look at these lyrics and go, oh shit, maybe there is like something, maybe this is what's going on, this is what's bothering me, or this is what's good. I mean, it doesn't all have to be negative either, but I mean, I think you kind of get what I'm getting at.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I think I do that a lot. And I noticed one thing that I've been doing lately is, and this might make me sound totally crazy, is I work from home for my day job, and I'll go like get up and go pee and like just be kind of talking to myself or thinking in my head just about life or whatever. And I'll just like, these like little one-liners, like, I'll just sit like think to myself like, oh, this feels like I'm whatever, some metaphor or whatever. And then when I'm going to go, like, I'm not thinking about, anything other than just literally that thought. And then when I go to like write lyrics for the song, like that literal thought that I had in real, real time before, I'll be like, ooh, I should just say that here. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't right now. But yeah, some like a lot of the thoughts that I've had are the lyrics that I wrote down, are things that I've like literally like thought even before, I went to go try to think of lyrics, just random thoughts that popped in my head, existential dread thought, kind of thoughts. Yeah.
That's interesting. I mean, it's something that, I think if you don't write lyrics, you may not realize, like something like that, where, yeah. I mean, I'm sure.
I think the therapeutic term would be intrusive thoughts. Yeah.
Intrusive thoughts out on paper.
Yeah, exactly. They intrude and then I get them back out. I push them out. But yeah, I mean, another thing too is like I love melody too. Like aside from the lyrics, like Bobby Vaughn, my brother, he I think I might have said this before, but one time he told me, he's like, I think you're so good at writing catchy melodies because you have ADD, and the only way you're gonna remember them is if it's super fucking catchy. So I'm like, that's probably like, it has to be so catchy that it drills into my brain so I remember it. So if it's not catchy, I literally just forget it, which is like, I guess a good problem to have.
Yeah, it really is. He's not wrong. I mean, you do write some good melodies, and yeah, you got to make them memorable. You make forgettable stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I try. I don't know.
I mean, I got a couple more for you here. I mean, you look at, like I was talking about, Low Morale's been a band for a couple years now. I mean, are you someone, this always interests me, because some people seem to like, they really kind of look ahead with the band and they know what they want to do with it. And they kind of, I don't know if vision's the right word, but I mean, you have goals or whatever with it. Some people just like to see where shit goes. I mean, are you someone, when you look at the rest of the year, do you kind of have goals for Low Morale, or you kind of more go with the flow? What happens?
That's a really good question. Honestly, when I was in high school, I played a lot of shows with like, bigger bands and stuff. And I know I'm kind of taking this a little further back, but
oh, you're good.
And I always, thought like, oh, I'm definitely going to get signed. I'm definitely going to, tour the world. Like I was just so confident, which is, I guess, something that you kind of need to have because it's a very tough industry. You have to be confident in yourself for sure. I think. But I was a little overconfident. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be on the cover of Rolling Stone for sure. I'm going to be on the cover of AP. I was like very overconfident, and I was sure I was doing it. But I've gone through so many bands, because it's almost like, trying to find the right, what's a good metaphor? I don't know. Just, here I'm like bragging, I have the best metaphors, and I'm like, I don't know what to compare this to. Yeah, it's just like, it's kind of like trying to, if somebody dumped a bunch of puzzle pieces from different puzzles together and trying to find the right pieces, it's super hard. It really is. So I admire, any bands that make it work. 'Cause it's really like being in a, like a marriage and having a small business with like 4 or 5 other people, so it's hard. I know I'm getting kind of off track, but
oh no, I like this.
So what I'm trying to say is I've always, wanted to tour and, take it as, as far as we could. But, and then all of a sudden, after being in multiple bands and stuff, next thing you know, you're almost 40, and, it's harder to tour and stuff, unless, especially since, everyone else in my band are like in their like 30s at least. So, it's hard to just pick up when you're in high school or right out of high school. It's easy to just pick up and do whatever. But yeah, to answer your question, I would love to take it as far as we can within, what's realistic for us. I would love to, especially, after this next album's recorded, hopefully be able to put it out on a label, even if it's like a smaller label. We definitely try to play some like national local shows, if that makes sense. We'd love, yeah. I mean, my personal goal is I would love to hook up with like at least like a small to medium label, maybe do some, weekend or weekend long tours, play some festivals. We'll definitely never be like a road dog band and tour a lot or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Steve, he's always told me he just does this for fun. It's just an excuse to get out of his house and hang out with some friends, because he has 2 kids and a wife, and he has like a government job working for the patent office. And, he's toured and stuff in the past, but yeah, he just does it for fun. And I feel like I'm almost kind of dragging Steve along on my he just kind of begrudgingly goes along with, my endeavors. But yeah, Steve doesn't really give a shit what happens. He's cool for whatever, if, he has fun, when I tell him like, hey, we're playing with Allister, he's like, hell yeah, I love Allister. You know what I mean? But he doesn't care either way. He'd be fine just jamming and having some beers and, just writing some songs. Obviously I love that too, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to see how far we could take it within, what we're literally capable of doing. Like I said, we can't tour a lot because, you know, he has a family and, you know, we all have bills to pay and stuff. Especially these days, it's, you know, hard to make money in the record industry or, you know, playing music unless you're selling out like stadiums. I mean, you know, even bigger bands, they, when they're not touring, a lot of them have like side hustles, you know what I mean? So
Oh, dude, you know how many people I interview on here, like even like of larger bands who, yes, like they have day jobs. Like not everybody, but like lots of people you may not realize have day jobs. It's a hard one to make a lot of money.
Like, yeah, we play with Off With Their Heads, and I know the singer of that band. He has a printing company. You know, he makes for other bands and stuff. You know, a lot of people, some people like bartend. You know, have construction job. You know,
I think all the Allister dudes have day jobs.
Yeah, like I know Pat from Light Years and No Pressure. He works at this really cool pizza spot, Ohio Pie. I mean, like I said, unless you're selling out stadiums, like you're really nowadays, because people don't really pay a lot for music. I mean, I guess there's like a vinyl boom going on right now, but because of streaming, obviously, you know, bands make their money off of merch and ticket sales. So, and a lot of times, you know, a lot of bands make just enough to pay themselves back and maybe even make a little bit of profit, but it's definitely not enough to live off of. So, yeah, it's hard, you know.
Even some ones who I think make money, they got to road dog it. As in, like, you're out. You probably are out 9-10 months of the year. Like, it's not.
I mean, you have to hustle, man. It's tough. Like, if you want to, you know, if you're like a medium-sized band, you know, or even like a band on Fat Records or, you know, any of that kind of stuff, you know, you gotta just tour all fucking year, you know, like. And it's rough, dude. It's tough. I haven't really toured a lot. I've done a little bit, but yeah, man. I mean, honestly, I love sleeping in my own bed. I love being comfortable, especially as I get older too. Honestly, like I used to be the kind of person that like if I didn't go out and party every night, I'd like go crazy. But now it's like the opposite. Like I dread going out now that I'm getting older. Like I don't know, like a switch flipped, and now it's like, I just want to like stay in and just kick it, you know what I mean, and just hang out.
You're in a good place for it though, because Cleveland has a nice scene. You get good bands coming through. There's good venues and shit. So it's like, you know, even if you're not the band who's playing 11 months out of the year, there's great shows and great bands to play with. You know what I mean? There's like you're in a good area. You're not like in the middle of like fucking nowhere where
for
like.
Sure.
You play
like I live in Lakewood, which is like on the west side of Cleveland, and
a great area if no one's been.
That's a great area. I mean, you've got the Winchester is literally down the street. You've got No Class, the Foundry. There's tons of places, and then obviously on the east side you got the Grog Shop, the Beachland. I mean, there's tons of cool spots. I don't know if I mentioned the 5 o'clock lounge. Yeah, there's I'm really lucky to live in an area where there's a lot of cool spots. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we have that Spells and Celebration Summer show coming up. I'm really hoping to.
And where is that?
I feel like there's not a lot. Like we usually like to jump on, like if a national band's coming through that, you know, it'd be cool to play with. We try to, you know, jump on that, and there really isn't like a lot. I feel like a lot of bands are like in either like recording right now or like in Europe and Australia. I've noticed there's not a lot of bands touring that like are our kind of like genre that we try to, you know.
I feel like it's still the quiet time of the year. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I know like even doing like, I mean, like once you hit like I feel March, April, and on, like even for like interviews, like January, February, not a lot of people are releasing stuff, and I feel like it's very quiet. Like March is like just when it starts kind of ramping up and you start kind of getting shit. But yeah, like this part of the year, I feel like is always insanely quiet. Plus, our part of the country too. Not everyone wants to tour. You know, the Rust Belt, Great Lake regions. In the winter
states. Yeah. There's. I mean, for example, like AFI just did like 2 huge Sing the Sorrow shows that I would have, with Jawbreaker opening. I would have loved to see that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bands are just doing things like on the West Coast. I notice, you know, especially if they're from there, obviously. But yeah, I see a lot of bands are in Australia recently and Europe, or recording, you know, because I creep on all the bands, you know. the labels and stuff on Instagram and stuff just to see what's going on. And yeah, so there's not really a lot coming through here. So yeah, but like I said, there's a couple local bands who I've been talking to you about maybe getting something going. But I mean, we're cool. We're trying to keep on trekking forward and record this new album. Yeah, I mean, we're stoked about This Planet Sucks. It was fun to record. We love the songs. I'm honestly super stoked to record our next EP, which it's going to be a little more produced, a little more polished. So yeah, we don't have anyone locked down 100%, but like I said, there's a couple of people we have in mind that like do this for a living pretty much, and know how to nail it down exactly what we're doing. So yeah, we're kind of looking forward to that, and hopefully we'll find like a smaller medium label that's down to put it out. I'd love to put out like a 7-inch or something. Some vinyl would be sick.
Nice.
But now that I'm getting old, that's I'm like, oh, I want a vinyl. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's honestly kind of my, you were asking what I kind of want out of Low Morale. That's kind of my dream. I was honestly kind of hoping to do it before 40, but I hopefully it'll be in my early 40s at least. Just sign to a small label, put out an album that I'm like super, super proud of. And not that I'm not proud of the other one, but just something that's super polished, and yeah, just play some shows, hopefully play some festivals, just see how far we can take it.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait for more new music and shit. And that means nothing. I think again, like kind of even going back to, I think like pop punk and shit ages too, like it's looked at too like much in the way of like everyone, I feel like, oh shit, it's over, where it's like, nah, you can write your best shit later on. You may be writing your best stuff in your 40s. I think for some reason punk and pop punk has that like youthful side where we feel like it's like this fucking wild thing. It's like, no, you could write your best shit coming up, like,
for sure. I mean, that's honestly part of the reason why I really try to avoid using the term pop punk, is because a lot of people think of like skate ramps and Sum 41 and my girlfriend saw, and like and that's why I try to use the term like melodic punk rock, which is similar but just maybe not as juvenile. Not that there's anything wrong with it. The more juvenile stuff, believe me, I listened to a ton of it. But I don't even know what I was trying to get at, but yeah, about it, aging well or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I've been diving into like the OG, emo and like pop punk, like Knapsack and Sam I Am and Jawbreaker, and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, I think that stuff ages pretty good, like
I would say Jawbreaker is one of them. They kind of are in the Menzingers camp, where like Blake Schwarzenbach was like 25 writing songs like he was like 50 years old, looking back on his life from like 30 years earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's another thing too, is like I want to write things that not only people relate to, but hopefully they age. Like I always, now that I'm getting older, that's part of like the midlife crisis existential dread thing, is like, I think of like my legacy. I know that sounds like kind of dumb to talk about, but I just think like after I die, or something happened to me today, what would not like it really matters that much, but like what do I have that I'm like leaving behind, that to I don't even know what I'm saying, but what I mean.
I think a lot of people think of that though, and
yeah,
I also,
like, when they think of what they think of, and are if they pull up my songs, are they going to be like, what do I have? What am I leaving behind that represents my time on Earth? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
On top of that, how many people wish they did that and never do, who then later go back and go, fuck, I wish I would have released music or this or that. Where, you can be like, yeah, motherfucker, I did it. Like I went and did it. I released the albums. I played the shows. Like I did the things that people want to do and just never did. You know what I mean? Like you're that much further, I would say, than a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm ever going to stop trying. It's like because I kind of, it sounds cliche, but it's one of those things where it's like I just have to do it. If I don't do it, I'll go crazy. And the funniest part is being in a band is super, super stressful. I'm sure anybody anybody would tell you that. Even the happiest looking band behind the scenes, it gets, it's literally like being in a marriage and being in having a small business with them too. But what was I even talking about?
Just, I mean, the very much that the like keeping, I think a lot of people want to be in a band or they want to write songs and play shows and stuff like that, but to actually go do it like you're talking about, I mean, it's not really one person, it's a couple people. You all kind of have to work together, and it's kind of a juggling act to make it like last and work.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's what I was saying. I was pretty much saying that, I feel like I have to do it. It makes me happy. It's also stressful, but I'm just kind of, sometimes I feel kind of like, like that old drawing of like someone riding a donkey holding like a stick with a carrot over its face to get it to move forward, but it's never really going to get to the carrot. I kind of feel like I have these like goals that like, I feel like I'm so close sometimes, but like I said, I don't know. I've been doing this for about 20 years. My first show I ever played was 2001, the year I graduated high school, which really ages me. But so, yeah, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's been really tough. I've been in a lot of bands, usually for like a couple of years each, a few years each. But, me and Steve have been together for years now, but we've gone through tons of different members. It's been tough. I think we have some like pretty solid songs. But yeah, it's just a matter of, taking the songs and doing, utilizing them in the right way. So yeah, I'm hoping after this next album, we get some label support and could do some fun things. I mean, not that a label's like that important anymore. A lot of people do things DIY, but just to spread the fan base and and get a little support, maybe financially and otherwise. I think just having that stamp of approval, I'm so self-conscious about myself, even after doing this for 20 years, just having that stamp of approval that a label, even if they're a small label, like believes in you enough to, put out your stuff is something that would be pretty validating. I know that sounds kind of weird to say, but it's the truth. So yeah, that's kind of my goal, honestly. So I'm hoping within the next like year or two, it finally happens.
Nice. So, I mean, not only do we have new Low Morale now, which we'll play here in a second, we got new stuff coming as well. I mean, where should we send everyone? What's the band's socials? What are your socials? Where we grab the music? Where we get This Planet Sucks? All that stuff. Plug away.
All right. Well, let's see. We're on Spotify. We're on Facebook, Instagram. Our handle on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is @the Low Morale. If you just look up Low Morale on most socials, you could find us. If you're around Cleveland, we're playing the Foundry May 30th with Spells, Celebration Summer, and Lillier. That was May 30th. The Foundry. Yeah, check out our album, our EP, This Planet Sucks. Let us know if you like it. If you don't like it, just lie and say that you really, really dug it. To anyone that's been, helping us out and posting about it, listening to it, coming to our shows, we really appreciate it. Thank you, Anthony, for always being supportive. I really appreciate it. Rocking that sweet shirt. I really dig it. Yeah. Repping the LM.
I keep hiding the microphone.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. We should have shirts that have that and then just say fuck yeah on the back in quotes, and then it'll say Anthony Merchant.
I mean, honestly, if you talk to most people around me, a fuck yeah or a hell yeah, I mean, you're going to get one of them out of me. That'll definitely something
your slogan, yeah.
It's simple but effective. It's a timeless. It's a timeless.
Anthony fuck yeah Merchant. I dig it.
It's like Low Morale. It's timeless.
It
fuck
is.
And Low Morale are two timeless things.
And it comes full circle.
And with that, no, Justin, this is always fun having you on. And like I said, we're gonna play some stuff off This Planet Sucks right now. we will kick it off with Ripper. Whether you're listening to the podcast or the radio show, you will get some new low morale right now. So, yes, I'm Anthony Merchant talking to Justin Vaughn, and you're tuned in to the Power Chord Hour.
Thanks.